Nope.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Easy Life coming back at you guys once again with another Journey to Expert Healing series episode, whatever. I'm back. I'm finally back with another episode. Well, I mean, not finally back. I just released the last one, but this time I did not keep you guys waiting for over a month for the next episode to come out. So yeah, I got a few episodes in the works already because I went ahead and just pre-recorded them ahead of time. As of right now, what you're seeing is my Miss Pandaria journey, and I think as of right now where my character is at in terms of the future, he's currently in Legion. I'm currently leveling up in Legion right now as I speak. So yeah, man, but here we are. This is the leveling brackets of 80 to 90. This is the 80 to 90 video, and finally you get to see some Fistweaver gameplay. Yes, I think this is the first time you guys are actually seeing me play the Fistweaver. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. In the Karazhan episode, last episode, I was just using Windwalker to kill those mobs and whatnot. But here we are, man. Nonetheless, this is some Miss Pandaria using the Fistweaver monk. Finally, I did Pandaria dungeons just because I'm familiar with Pandaria dungeons the most, rather than the Cataclysm dungeons. So that's why I pretty much dungeoned through Pandaria, doing Pandaria dungeons. And by the way, this is gonna be another raw, uncut commentary. You know how I've done these before, and definitely raw and uncut. So if I tend to stutter, if I make mistakes, if I stumble over my words, then who gives a shit? Because I'm keeping it in. All right. This is gonna be, I wouldn't say this is well, I guess it's kind of a lengthy video. I'm looking at the timeline here, man, and we're in the 40-minute mark. So yeah, I would suggest you play this episode maybe in the background, maybe as you're playing WoW right now. Maybe put this on your second monitor, because that's probably something I would do. That's something I would do, definitely. So yeah, I think I did this with a few episodes before. So this whole raw uncut thing shouldn't be familiar or unfamiliar to you guys. And yeah, man, this is me. This is me talking about my experience. So I got a few things to say. I definitely got a few things to say about the whole leveling in Pandaria. One of which I didn't actually quest a whole lot in Miss Pandaria. Just saying. Oh, also, by the way, this footage is actually my leveling brackets, or my footage of me at levels 85 to 90. If you wanted to see levels 82 to 85, which it really isn't that much different than what you're seeing right now, because I didn't do much prior to that. I streamed that. I streamed 82 to 85. So you want to check out the VOD. The VOD is uploaded onto the channel for your viewing pleasure. So go ahead and check that out if you may. Yeah, the VOD, the raw uncut VOD. That was about a 2.5 hour VOD, I think, or stream. So that was the level brackets, or that was the levels of 82 to 85. Once I hit level 81, I went straight to Pandaria and I did the intro quest. I did the intro quest to Pandaria, and that's what got me to level 82. And again, 82 to 85, streamed it, and what you're watching right now, pre-recorded 85 to 90. And here we are, man. This is it. This is it right here. So yeah, man, where do I even start? Where the hell do I begin? Well, I guess the first thing I would like to say is, while I was leveling up in Pandaria and doing these dungeons, I've noticed that the dungeons were starting to get a little bit more challenging. Now, this is post the scaling patch, whatever. And so a lot of these bosses tend to hit a lot harder. A lot of the mechanics are starting to become more, I guess, frequent, more. Yeah, more, I wouldn't say challenging mechanics, but definitely mechanics that a lot of players are not, especially newer players. I bumped into a lot of new players in this bracket, which is pretty cool. I didn't think a lot of the new players would make it this far. I'm very sorry, new players. But yeah, a lot of mechanics that some of the newer players and casual players have not encountered before, or even returning players, you know, because I remember back when this shit wasn't even scaled to our levels, that even back then we were just face rolling through this content, face rolling through these bosses. There's a lot of mechanics. Actually, there were some mechanics that I couldn't even remember to do, specifically in Stormstout Brewery on the last boss. There was a mechanic where you had to jump up in the air, not get the bubble, but you would jump up in the air because there would be like a line of brew that would run across the floor, and if you didn't jump and you got hit by that brew, you would take a lot of damage. That's a mechanic I forgot to do, or I forgot about. And let's just say it was definitely not a sight for sore eyes. We wiped a few times, yes, in a normal dungeon. I know, it's crazy. And something like this right here, what you're watching right here on the Mogushan Vaults, I haven't done this mechanic in a very long time. We would pull the boss by the doorway. We never used to do that. We never used to do this pre-patch, because we would always kill him before all of us died to the instruments. But since the fact that this boss is scaled up, he's a bit more beefy, does more damage to us, you know, he's on our level. We had to go back to the old method of pulling him over to the doorway so we wouldn't get hit by the instruments. I shit you not, I never used to do this. Leveling up in MoP. I really didn't. So that was pretty interesting to do. And yeah, man. So a lot of mechanics are starting to become more frequent. A lot of players are starting to realize that we need to do the boss right. We need to do the mechanics right. And me as a healer, me coming into the game as a first-time healer, I needed to be very prepared and have all my GCDs ready to go when shit hit the fan, right? I'm talking about my revival. What the hell does monks have? The life cocoons, the vivifies. Oh my gosh, there was a lot of spamming of the vivifies. A good thing, and at this point in time, I remember this, I started buying consumables. Okay, went to the vendors in Shrine of the 7 Stars, bought some consumables in case I needed to sneak in a drink once in a while, because we all know that Mistweaver monks can run into a bit of some mana issues. Actually, as you're watching right here now, the Mogushan Vaults, look how low I am. Look at my HP. Look at my mana. Look how low I am. Okay, now thankfully this was towards the end, so I didn't have to worry too much. But I remember when I got to fights like this, and I had to spam heal that Vivify action. Now, of course, there was probably a better course of action that I could have taken to, you know, better prepare myself, or for, you know, in terms of mana, I guess. I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. I guess be more mana efficient is what I was trying to say. But I was living in the moment, okay? And in the moment, the first thing I thought in my head was, okay, we gotta spam some Vivifies. Vivifies, Essence Fonts, that's very costly in mana, but it was off cooldown and I used it anyway. So that was that. This fight right here, this was really funny. I forget what this dungeon is called, actually. I just call it the bug dungeon because it's full of bugs and you throw stuff at them. This was pretty cool. Look at this. Check this out. We all wiped. Look at that. Well, we didn't wipe. We ended up killing the boss, but I actually thought that was really funny the first time I did that. So, yeah. And here's another mechanic right here on the second boss of this dungeon. He does like a spin move, right? That does a lot of damage. I got caught in that a few times, as well as a few other players. And yeah, man. But overall, you know what? I think leveling up in this bracket, though, if I can be completely honest, this was the leveling bracket that really made me more aware of different situations where bosses would target the player specifically, and they would drop from 100 to 10% HP left in an instant. Okay, it made me more aware of the kinds of situations that I was in and the kinds of cooldowns that I should have been using. And you're also gonna see this again here in the next episode once we tackle the Shitlords of Draenor content. Okay, thankfully in WoD there was only like 2 dungeons that I leveled through. Okay, along with a few questing. Excuse me, I just ate. Yeah, no. And then what the hell was I trying to say? Right. Okay. yeah, so being more aware, yeah. I was definitely starting to become more aware of the kinds of situations that I was getting myself into, okay? I specifically would do things like save my revival for, you know, a big AoE attack, okay? Before I used to just use that on cooldown whenever my Vivifies weren't doing its job. But now I would actually find myself using revival whenever, I guess, you know, whenever a big AoE attack would occur. Once I got familiar with the mechanics of the boss, and you know what, I think this is something that a lot of healers should definitely realize, and I think what a lot of healers go through, okay, when they level up as a healer for the first time, I feel like this is some of the things that they go through, okay, trying to prepare yourself, trying to increase your awareness and your overall your reaction time, of course, but more importantly, do things that a good healer would do, okay? Now, when it came to dispelling, I was very good at dispelling, I'm not gonna lie. Now, that's something I actually learned very early on. If you go back and look on the first episode, I was actually very familiar with dispelling. I had watched a few healing videos about dispelling, and so I didn't have an issue with that. As you can see, our shitty druid just left. Because he could not handle the mechanics. Then again, as I watched this, I don't think we were doing the mechanics right to begin with. So I can see why he left. We were just being dumb. But regardless, we got this dungeon done. This was actually relatively a longer fight just because we lost a little bit of DPS, but that's alright. But what the hell was I saying? So, yeah, man. Reaction times was definitely something that I had to improve upon, okay? I think even in WoD, once we had tackled to the next episode, WoD, there was, I remember specifically, because I just did this recently, I spent 2 days in WoD, okay, from 90 to 100. I remember that there were some mechanics in the dungeon, such as slag mines, where it would, where the mobs itself would attack specific players directly, I guess. Because before, usually in these earlier dungeons, I noticed that the mobs would just attack the whoever has the aggro, right? They wouldn't go out of the way to attack another teammate, I guess. But in slag mines in WoD, they would do that. They would get away from the tank for a second and start attacking whoever else. Usually me, right? They always go for the freaking healer, which of course is strategic for the NPC's part. But regardless, I need to stop talking about WoD because we are in Pandaria. So yeah, I think, you know, leveling up in Pandaria, like I said, this was the brackets where I was beginning to realize the kind of healer I was becoming, and I wouldn't say I was a perfect healer. No, definitely not. Definitely not. I would definitely not say I was a perfect healer. However, I did not receive any complaints. I didn't receive any complaints from anybody, which is a good thing. Now, I remember this. Talking about things like a lot of people would say, or some people I've heard would say that, you know, when you play a healer, prepare to get railed on, okay? Prepare for the worst. Prepare for people to start complaining and blaming the healer and bullshit like that. You know, healer, why didn't you heal me enough? Healer this, healer that. I was prepared for that. I was definitely prepared for that, especially in these newer content dungeons. Well, not newer content, but these later on released dungeons where, like I said, mechanics were starting to become a thing. Okay? I was prepared for that. And I was really expecting at times where one of the DPS would die, they would complain to me. They would blame me. But you know what, to my surprise, I'll tell you this. To my surprise, I didn't receive any of that. In fact, it was actually, in most times, it was actually the tank who would apologize. Which I think is amazing. I think that's great. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just because, you know, I'm a returning player and I'm not used to, and I'm so used to the old ways of, you know, blaming the healer or whatever, and maybe things have changed. Maybe tanks, especially newer tanks, have realized their, you know, their mistakes and whatnot. Or maybe it just happened recently, post you know, scaling patch, where now the tanks, and especially the newer tanks, realize that they can't pull. They cannot do as big pulls as they used to. They can't do the 10 to 15 to 20 mob pulls like they used to. Okay, just because we can't, because of the scaling, we can't you know, burst them down as fast anymore. And of course, the tank takes a lot of damage. In some cases that I've actually experienced, in many cases where I can't heal them fast enough to keep them alive. I can't heal them enough to keep them alive. You know, they're getting hit by so many mobs at one time that it outbeats my healing. And here I am, you know, popping on my big cooldowns. I use the life cocoon. I use the, you know, the enveloping mist, that renewing on cooldown, You know, all those Mistweaver abilities. I'm sure a lot of you maybe are probably familiar with that because a lot of you don't play Monk. It's a very underrated class. Only about, I think, 5.6% of the community, the entire WoW player base plays Monk. But either way, you get what I'm saying. I'm doing all the big cooldowns, and it's just not working. And so what seems to be the case nowadays is I actually get messages from tanks saying like, "Oh, I'm really sorry about that. I pulled a little bit too much. You know, I didn't mean to do that." You know, just shit like that. Oh, I think a few times I got this. This is the excuse I got before. And I wouldn't say it's an excuse, but this is the apologies I used to get. I got a few times. One time, it was a DK. I surprisingly met a lot of blood DKs. I guess that's the hot tank these days. I figured it would be a burr tank druid, but to my surprise, I'm seeing a lot of blood DKs recently. But they would tell me like, "Oh, I'm really sorry about that. I haven't played this tune in 5 years." I haven't played this tune in 5 years. What? God damn. Really? 5 years. And then I got another one where the dude literally said I'm a brand new player. he literally said, I'm sorry about that, man. I'm a brand new player. I literally just started today or 2 days ago or something like that. And you know, me being the nice guy that I am, I always just say, it's all good. It's all good. Because it really is, you know, as long as everybody's having a good time, and, you know, we're getting shit done, you know, or at least progressing through the bosses, through the dungeons. Because in reality, it doesn't even matter. It really doesn't matter. Like, we're not at endgame. Everybody has the same goal of getting to 110. Get to 110. You know, these days, you know, a lot of people are re-rolling. Like myself, like I said, I re-rolled. I was a paladin for years, and now here I am all of a sudden making my very first re-roll as a monk in preparation for BFA. Okay, but a lot of people are re-rolling, so they're really trying their best, trying the hardest to get to 110, which again, I don't think is a bad thing. I respect that, I really do. But at the same time, it's just good to see that a lot of these newer tanks are realizing their mistakes. And again, you know, maybe it's just too early to tell. Maybe I may get that whole healer complaining shit later as I go. Like I said, I'm in Legion right now, and you know, I just got my artifact weapon, so we're gonna see how that goes. Okay, I'm gonna be excuse me. I'm keeping that in. I'm gonna be leveling up through Legion and be doing the dungeons there, and we'll see what happens. Got a lot of guild recruitments recently, which is cool too. I also checked the forums just to see what was up with all the guilds, and I got a few guilds that I actually want to try out and you know, see if they're the right guilds for me. So that's cool too. But like I said, getting back on topic, I'm sorry I'm rambling a lot. I literally have nothing. I don't have any ideas written down. I'm just you know, commenting my thoughts. You know, kind of like a discussion, like whatever's on my mind. This is what I'm talking about. But let's see. What was I trying to say? Yeah. Okay. So we'll see. I'm in Legion, and once I start leveling up through there, we'll see what happens. We will definitely see what happens. See if I'll run into the whole healers get blamed for everything kind of thing. And yeah, one time I remember this. One time, someone actually complimented me on the healing. I was actually surprised. I'm like, wow, that never happens. I feel like you know, healers are very unappreciated, and a lot of people don't give them enough credit for doing it. But I actually got one once. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. This guy's cool. He realized, you know, my healing and whatever. Because, you know, normally it's the tanks that get the praise, which again, I'm not complaining. You know, they really should. They're the leader of the team usually, right? Everybody follows the tank for the obvious reasons, so that's fine. But it just really surprised me. I was just surprised that I got someone right there saying, good job on the healing, man. You did good. And yeah. Man, I love this lo-fi playlist, man. This is a really amazing lo-fi playlist. I'm listening to this right now with you guys. This is great. This is great. So, yeah. But overall, I think my overall thoughts leveling in Pandaria. One, it was very quick. Okay, I definitely did not spend a whole lot of time in Mist of Pandaria. Actually, I think I spent the most amount of time in Mist of Pandaria that I did with Warlord. So it was a 4-day process. I spent 2 days in Mist, and then I spent another 2 days in Warlords. And maybe we'll spend probably another 2 days in Legion. We'll see what happens. Because Legion can be a very easy bracket to level up, especially with the invasions and whatnot. That gives a lot of EXP. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, overall, in terms of Mist of Pandaria dungeons, I had fun. I definitely had fun. And here's another mechanic that I was talking about. Another mechanic that I had to be aware of. That cleave move that he does. He single targeted that paladin, and of course I had enveloping mist. So things like that I had to be prepared for. But regardless, again, it was a very fast leveling bracket, and I had a lot of fun. Again, I'm very familiar, very familiar with the Mist of Pandaria dungeons. So relearning these mechanics or doing these boss fights again, it was pretty much a breeze. It was definitely a breeze for me. And at this point, I had pretty much majority of my abilities, so I had a whole arsenal of healing abilities to work with. And of course, as you can see, I dish out a few DPS right there to help deal with the mechanics, and of course, make my job a lot less stressful. That's another thing too, was my Fistweaving. I would actually go in there as a Fistweaver a few times. Actually, I did that a lot during my journey. I was trying to become a Fistweaver, just because, well, just to make my job a hell of a lot easier. Okay. I really do like the burst. I really do like the burst damage that Mistweavers do. You know, you do your 3 Tiger Palms, you get Teaching of the Monastery, and you do your quad blackout kicks into the RSK. That's a lot of burst, especially with that passive that they get for Rising Sun Kick. The damage is increased, right? Yeah. That fight right there, the fight that you just watched, that was probably the easiest fight out of all the dungeons that I've done in the Pandaria bracket. Definitely a very easy boss to deal with. Cool boss, very cool, huge, very huge. Reminds me of like the Scarab tanks from Halo, right? And so that was fun. And what the hell was I saying? I'm looking at the Storm Stout footage. I'm fighting the Monkey King right now. That's what I'm looking at. Oh yeah, the Fistweaving, right. So, yeah, so that's what I would do. I would try to do some damage on the boss as much as I can, kind of contribute DPS, whatever DPS that I possibly can. Look at that, look at that. I'm like not last on the DPS chart right there in this fight. Look at that. Ain't that something? So, yeah. Well, anyway, you get the point. Trying to do that just so I don't have to spam heal Vivify so much. And yeah, the consumables definitely did help. I remember when I said a few minutes ago I bought consumables. Yeah, those consumables definitely helped when I was leveling through this, because again, like I said, with the whole mechanics things and a lot of people standing in damage and not realizing that they're dying, spamming the Vivify was definitely something that occurred, and I needed to sneak in a few drinks. I would even type in the chat like, hey, give me a second, just give me a second, I need to drink. Yeah, some people don't realize what that means, okay? So, the journey of the pug life, you know? The journey of Dungeon Finder. The kinds of people that you meet. Lots of nice people, but a lot of tanks who are unaware of the healer's capabilities. So, yeah, every now and then, with my consumables, I had to sneak in a drink here and there, just to keep up with the Vivify spam, which again, I shouldn't have to do that as much, but a lot of people just, I feel like a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot, but at least a handful, just a handful, okay, that's not even that much either, but a handful of people just don't realize that they're taking damage like that right there. Look at that. Did you see that? Those 2 people died to the hamster. The hamster. And you could easily avoid that, but they ended up dying. They stood in it. They died instantly. I mean, I think they stood in it. At least that's what it looked like. But they died instantly. But regardless, we got that done. But it's people like that I met during these runs, where I met people who weren't using add-ons. They weren't even using add-ons, and I can guarantee you this. I can guarantee you that their HP bar was still in the default top left position of their screen. So there were times, especially in Temple of the Jade Serpent, whenever you do the first boss, he does that, or no, not the first boss, somewhere in the first, but the mobs go into the first boss. Whenever they explode, they leave this puddle of water, and whenever you stand in it, this corrupted water, you're taking damage. I remember I met a paladin and a DK tank who just stood in there the entire time, not even realize that they were taking damage. And I can guarantee you, when they realized they were taking damage, it was when their screen started flashing red. I can guarantee you that's what happened. I can guarantee you that. A lot of people who still play with the HP bars on the top left, which again, that's not a bad thing. You know, I know a lot of amazing players, or I've heard of a lot of amazing players who still play with the default UI to this very day, and that's fine. You know, play whatever works best. Okay, with my UI, I specifically designed my UI so that I have everything that I need to see all in the middle, near the middle bottom part of my screen, okay? Regardless, it's in the middle margin, okay? It is faced a little bit lower towards the bottom of the screen, but it is in the middle where my eyes are mostly looking, in that vicinity, I guess. But like I said, a lot of people who still play with the HP bar on the top left, who don't play with add-ons, they just don't realize the mechanics. They just don't realize that they're taking a lot of damage. And here I am having to use enveloping mist on them. And again, it was things like that that I had to be prepared for. I never experienced this. You guys got to remember, I only just started healing in March of 2018. That's, yeah, this year. That's fucking 3 months ago. 3 going on 4 months. I've only been a healer for 3 or 4 months. And, well, I wouldn't say 3 or 4 months, because I took a break for about a month or 2. So I guess maybe about like a month and a half, maybe close to 2 months that I've been playing around with different healers. I dabbled into Resto Shaman as well. I think that's another reason why my alt now, I decided to make my secondary character a Shaman. I really like Shaman. But these are things that I was never aware of back when I played DPS. And so, you know, it made me realize the kinds of play styles that I needed to make, or the kind of play style that I needed to do when leveling up in this in these later zones. Okay, I think is this the run that I with the paladin? There's a paladin there. Is this the one that's I don't think this is the one, but there was a paladin that I met that would stand in that corrupted water. Oh, maybe it is. No, they got out of it. Yeah, okay, this isn't the one. The paladin I met, he would, like I said, he would stay in the living water until his screen would be flashing red. But anyway, yeah, so it was things like that that I had to be prepared for, okay? Because I think whenever I ran a few more dungeons with this person, or with these, you know, and again, I'm not trying to single out the paladin, this happened a few more times. I think I had the mindset of whenever I walked into Temple of the Jade Serpent, I had to be prepared for noobs like that who would just stand and just eat the damage because they weren't realizing that they were taking damage, okay? Not until the screen flashes red, again, like I just said, for the 3rd time. So, had to really change up my playstyle. The playstyle that I do prefer to play as a monk is definitely a Fistweaver. Like as you're seeing right now, I would love to just heal on the side, or I would love to just heal and DPS at the same time. I would love to be that DPS healer hybrid. And I was actually looking at some of the things that they did in BFA for Monk on the beta. That they're revamping a few of the talents and the way that some of the skills work as a Mistweaver Monk. And I really think Blizzard is trying to create this DPS healer hybrid, if those of you haven't checked it out. But that's what it seems like it's looking to be. I think you can talent spec into a DPS healer hybrid in BFA, which I love. I like that. I love that idea, okay? Because it opens up a few new things for me. It opens up an opportunity of, now I have this challenge where I have to do DPS and heal at the same time, rather than just sitting behind the team and just healing, okay? I don't mind doing that if I have to, right? Just sitting back and healing. But I would love to be a Fistweaver 24/7. I would love to, because that challenges me, okay? And I'm always welcome. I'm always open-minded to challenges, okay? I want to be able to contribute and do DPS and do the mechanics, and at the same time keeping my team alive. Okay, I know that sounds like a lot. It definitely sounds like a lot, but I like that. I like that kind of challenge. I like that intensity. It keeps me on my, I wouldn't say it keeps me on the edge, but it makes it so that I don't turn my brain off. Okay, it doesn't turn my brain off, and it challenges my mind. It challenges myself, my mental state, whatever. And I think in the long run, it makes me a better player for it. Okay, it makes me a better player because of it. And I really do think that a lot of healers don't realize that. Okay, I've seen healers, the kinds of healers who sit back and they just stand there and they just heal. They put down the AoE circle or the AoE heal, and they just, you know, they just throw a couple of single target heals on the tank, but then, you know, that's about it. They're not really contributing DPS. I've seen healers like that, and again, that's not a bad thing. That really isn't a bad thing. But me personally, I don't prefer that. I just don't prefer that. I think it's boring. I really do think it's boring. But again, going back on what I just said, if I have to do that, I will. If I have to do that, I will. And those are the kinds of cases where, at the times that I had to do that, it was always in the case. It was only in the situation where a boss would probably be doing a lot of damaging mechanics, specifically in the Terran Zoo. I think that's how you say his name. Terran Zoo, leader of the Shadow Pan. In the Shadow Pan monastery dungeon, the last boss, he does a lot of AoE. That right there, that encounter, I almost always had to be the, you know, I almost always had to stay back and just specifically heal the team. I couldn't contribute much DPS, but like I said, that's fine because I had to do that. If we were gonna get this boss done, I had to do that. I had no choice. I had to stop doing DPS and I had to heal as a, you know, traditional healer. Again, not a bad thing, just not my preferred way of play style, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, man. I don't know. Overall, I really do think healing is fun, and I have no regrets. I really do have no regrets of becoming a healer. Now, we're not at the end of this journey yet, but as of my thoughts of right now in the Pandaria brackets, excuse me, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm definitely having a lot of fun, okay? One of the things that I really do love is actually the queue times. I have very low, short queue times whenever finding a dungeon, even in WoD. The fact that there's only like 3 or 4 dungeons in WoD, and I still get low queue times. Fuck yes, dude! I love that. I figured it'd be a long time before I get into a dungeon in WoD, just because of the limited amount of dungeons. But no, I guess not. I guess not. It really doesn't matter. It really did not matter. Yeah, man, as of my thoughts of right now, I'm loving it. It's great. It's fun. It's challenging. It's intense. It opens up a lot of new doors for me, you know? And the fact that this game could never have enough healers, I'm willing to fill that role. You know, you can find a tank anywhere. Tanking is so easy. You know, tanking is definitely easy. The only reason why I don't tank is because I don't want to lead the group. Sometimes in some dungeons, especially in the earlier dungeons, I just don't really have a good sense of direction, okay? Even if I do have a map. But that's just me, okay? Do I mind tanking? Would I mind tanking? No. I wouldn't mind it at all. I'd be definitely open to tanking, you know? It's easy. But again, I just, not very good at sense of direction. But overall, in terms of healing, I think it's great. I think it's fun, man. It really is fun. I'm enjoying the queue times. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I almost died. I almost freaking died. Look at that. Look how close I was to dying. Holy shit. Poggers, man. Fucking... Oh, that was a Monka-esque moment right there for me. Definitely. Thank goodness we killed him. Thank goodness we killed the boss. Yeah. What the hell was I saying? Oh, yeah. My thoughts on healing. Yeah. So, again... Like I said, sorry to ramble on. I don't really have much to say. I think I said mostly everything I wanted to say. But we still got a few more minutes. We still got a few more encounters in this video, in this episode, if you're still watching. By the way, if you're still watching, you made it this far. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your viewing pleasure and your listening pleasure. I love it. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. It really does. Yeah, man, healing is fun. It's challenging and it's fun, and I'm really liking it. And I think even towards the end of my journey in Legion, once we finish up Argus, I think I'm still gonna have the same opinions. But you know what? I don't want to say too much just yet because we're still kind of early on, not really necessarily at endgame. I think maybe when I do my the conclusion episode, it'll really sum up my thoughts on what I think of healing. And in terms of plans in the future, will I stick with healing? Will I stick with it, or will I just make it an off-spec and go back to DPS? Who knows? Who knows? This series was particularly made for someone who never healed before in their life, never healed before in their WoW career, and who was just picking it up for the first time. I do have to say that if some of you who are unwilling to, or not willing to heal, or a little bit skeptical of healing, I really wouldn't worry too much about things like that. I really would just say, just try it out. Okay, just try it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. Go back to DPS, go back to tank, whatever you want. But in terms of being open-minded and trying it, hell, man, I really do encourage it. I mean, look at me. I made it this far. I've made it this far just as a healer. I think that's pretty damn good. And I'm loving I'm loving every single second of it. I really am. I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying the journey. I'm reading up on my skills on my character, and I'm always looking forward to these newer healing abilities that I can use on the playing field. And that's how I really think that's how it should be. In terms of playing a new role, you should be looking forward to the things that's coming up in your process in the leveling journey. Sorry for stuttering. Not good with words, but yeah, you should look forward to things like that. In fact, playing a new role should definitely make you more excited to play the game, because now things are going to be different. It isn't going to be the same standing behind the boss and tapping a few buttons to get your rotation down. Now you have a few more challenges to deal with. Instead of 1 HP bar, in my case, I have to deal with 6 HP bars, right? All 4 of my members, including myself, plus the boss. I guess you shouldn't really count the boss, but again, I like to fist weave, so I look at his HP bar too. You know, do some damage, do some damage. But the challenge now is, yeah, I'm dealing with more HP bars than I used to before. Okay, and so at the end of the day, just give it a shot. Give it a shot. And even if, you know, I say that because whenever you decide to level up a healer, and you're in the early brackets, right, 10 to or 20 to 30 or whatever, at that point in time, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You're not wasting a whole lot of time. And it's almost like baby steps. You start out slow, right? There's not really much mechanics you got to deal with in the early levels, okay? And there's not many skills that you have to press anyway to keep up. So I mean, it's almost like baby steps. You know, do a little bit at a time. Do a little bit at a time. And as you progress through your leveling and the more abilities that you get, the more confident you may become. Because at that point in time, you'll be so used to pressing the regular rotation that you get that you'll be looking forward to a new ability that you're finally going to get after 10 levels of pressing the same buttons. Because that's how it felt like for me. That's what it was like for me. It really was. From, I believe, from levels 22 to 50, I think, I was pretty much just pressing the same buttons and, well, mostly the same buttons, and I just could not, excuse me, I could not wait to get into the 70s, the 80s, and especially the 90s brackets like we are right now, because I was anxious. I was anxious to get these new skills. I was really excited to throw this into my rotation. Okay, and again, like I said, that's how it should be. And I think overall, you know what? You know what? I've gained a lot of self-confidence because of this. Because of this experience, this journey that I'm on, this current journey that I'm on, I'm becoming a lot more confident than I used to I really feel like I'm improving as a new player, or a new player, improving as a new healer. Okay, I really do. But of course, as an overall player, I think I am improving. I think I am becoming a better player because of this experience. And I think that's something that I didn't realize was gonna happen, but it ended up happening anyway. And every time I log into the game, I can't wait to queue up for those dungeons. I really can't, because I have this confidence. I have this confidence that I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna keep these people alive, and we're gonna get this boss. We're gonna get this dungeon done. We're gonna go in and we're gonna get it done, and I'm gonna keep these bastards alive. You know, and it's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel good once we down that last boss in that dungeon and see that sweet random dungeon bonus EXP. Definitely something very enjoyable. And so yeah, now we're coming up on the final boss here, and as well as the end of this episode. I want to say thank you so much thank you so much if you made it this far. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're gonna be tackling into Shitlords of Draenor. Oh, excuse me, Warlords of Draenor, the expansion that I took a very long break from. Yes, and I hope you'll be there with me to experience this journey as we finish up this, get into Warlords, get out of Warlords, and into that sweet Legion content. So yeah, guys, thank you. If you have any questions, let me know. And again, this is all coming from a brand new aspiring healer. That's right. I may be making a few confident plays in the footage that you've been watching. And it may look like I have been healing for a while, but it really hasn't. Like I said, I've only been healing for a few months. That's it. And I'm not even at endgame content. I think overall I'm doing pretty good, but of course, I'm not satisfied, and there's always room for improvement. Anyways, guys, thank you so much again. Stay tuned for the next episode. I love you all as always. Have an easy day, and take care. Peace! Thanks for watching today's video, guys. It really means a lot to me. If you like what you see, then don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button below. Or better yet, hit that bell you see on the screen now in order to get notified when a new video gets uploaded. Now, all my social media links are in the description box below, and if you don't give a shit about any of that, then just go ahead and share this video with your friends, share this with your family, or even share this with your mom. Any support at all is greatly appreciated. I love you guys as always, and I hope you're all having a very easy day. Stay tuned for more to come, and this has been the One Man Army, Mr. Easy for Life, and I'm out. Peace!